Welcome to Finding Certainty with your host and U.S. Army veteran, Patrick Laing. Over the next hour, you'll learn from Patrick and his expert guests how to attract more certainty into your business and your life. Now, here is your host, Patrick Laing.
Welcome to Finding Certainty. It's our favorite day of the week. We look forward to Friday all week long for a lot of reasons. Many people look forward to the weekend. I look forward to doing this show and having extraordinary guests come join us here on Finding Certainty to talk about this topic that is so important to so many of us. How do we find, create, develop, and share certainty in our lives and in the lives of others? Well, today we have a special guest, Mr. Dan Shaw. He's city councilman here in Henderson, Nevada, where we're headquartered. So you're not only the first politician I've ever had, Dan, but you're the first Henderson representative that I've had here in our hometown to talk a little bit about this topic and a little bit about our stomping grounds, let's say. So welcome to Finding Certainty. We appreciate having you on the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and you should have more Henderson guests. There's a lot of interesting people who live in Henderson.
Yes, it is. I have had other business owners from Henderson, but I'm looking forward to having a city official here to talk a little bit about our, where we're located, where we started the company here in Nevada, and actually started Certainty Management, my firm in San Diego, where we live. But then we decided to get out of California, get out of the gulag, as my partner calls it, and move here to Nevada, and we chose Henderson. I'm glad we did, and we're grateful to be here. But excited to talk to you a little bit today about your story and your campaign. I know you're running for re-election right now.
We're running for re-election. Henderson is a great place to live. I will say that I had a discussion just the other day about someone who moved here from California, and they were complaining about the traffic, and I said to them, "You guys are the problem." If Californians wouldn't keep moving here, we wouldn't have traffic problems. But we love the Californians. They provide great richness and variety to us in our community, and they provide a lot of input as to what they want in the city. So
absolutely. Well, they say Nevada follows California in a lot of different ways. I don't consider myself, just to be clear, a Californian. I was only there for 3 years. I'm from Utah originally. I spent 6 years in Alaska, 12 years in Portland, Oregon, a couple years in Italy. I did a mission for my church, and I even lived in New Zealand as a child. So I've kind of been all over. I joke that I live in vacation locations, right? Right. Where everybody else is going, I've actually gotten a chance to put some roots down there for a little bit. But we've been here in Henderson now for about 3 years, and really enjoying it.
Great. We're glad you're here. So a lot of things going on in Henderson. When you talk about things like how it started and what the community is about, Henderson has a very rich heritage and history. It was actually became a city in 1953, so it's relatively new as a city. Was originally founded for the workers, not the foremen or not the executives, but for the workers who built the dam. Who built Hoover.
Is that right? I did not know that.
And so even to this day, if you drive down Lake Mead, there are large concrete slabs where they put up walled tents and put cots inside those tents for the workers who built the dam. And they would soak gunny sacks in water and put it over the openings to try to act like a swamp cooler when it was 120 degrees, and they were living inside of a tent. So a rich history. Many of the homes that are downtown were built for the workers, and they did not have concrete foundations. They were temporary homes. And so to this day, they are still there with wood foundations. So,
that's really interesting.
so there's a lot of things. And then once the dam was built and the war effort started, they discovered magnesium at the old magnesium mine. It's called the Three Kids Mine. And they built a magnesium munitions plant because magnesium was used in aircraft and in munitions, still operating today. And that war effort, one of the interesting things that people don't know is that it had almost twice as many workers at building that munitions plant that built the dam. It was double the amount of money and took them half as long as building Hoover Dam. So the war effort was really a key motivator to keep people going, employed a lot of people.
That's really interesting.
Following the war, many of those plants closed down, and the state of Nevada bought that whole area for $1 and then turned it over and brought in new industrial uses there to support the city and support the state. So a little bit of history.
You know, it happens every now and then that I meet with people, and I work with customers all over the country. I have associates from coast to coast, but people who haven't heard of Henderson or don't know where it is, but that's becoming less and less rare. Most people, it seems, are familiar with Henderson. They've come here to Vegas. They oftentimes stay here or come here for different events, and so much always happening and going on in Henderson. But right. I like the fact that it feels like you're in a neighborhood, just a really great community, and you almost forget where the strip is unless you have a view of it. And yet I can be at the Las Vegas airport in 10 minutes, right? So it's kind of the best of both worlds. We can be down on the strip, go to a show or dinner or something in 15, 20 minutes at the most, even with parking. And it's unique from that standpoint, because you do forget you kind of forget it's there unless you're going down for an event or a show or something, right?
A couple of interesting things. We made a conscious decision many, many years ago that we were going to be a family-oriented community. And we're currently the second largest city in Nevada. And so when I started...
Even bigger than Reno.
We are, yes.
Okay.
So when I started my community service, I went on the Parks and Recreation Board of Henderson City. At that time, they had one park, and it was an old ratty baseball field down by the magnesium plant. And so we determined that parks were really key to a family-oriented community. And so we passed the very first no tax increase bond, and we started to build parks. And now we have 73 parks, 270 miles of connecting trail. And our Parks and Recreation Department has been awarded the Gold Medal Award by the United States of America for the best Parks and Recreation program in America twice. And so we're within a 10-minute walk to a park from every resident in our city. And that creates really good family activities and a lot of things that we can do. So that's a key part for us.
Well, it's definitely a draw to families. I hear a lot of young families and families with kids talking about that exact fact. I mean, they talk about, whether it's at church or people that I know that are moving here, they talk about why they're choosing Henderson. And that is actually in the top 5 topics that you hear them talk about. How many parks there are, how many trees there are, how it feels like a neighborhood, not just an extension of downtown Las Vegas, right? It's
just another interesting thing we did when you talk about trees. Every tree that is on city property is registered and has a computer identity in our city. So we know exactly...
A computer identity?
Yes. So we know exactly how much fertilizer we put on them, when they were pruned. We know everything about our trees, and that's how we keep them healthy. And so it's really...
That's incredible.
Technology is taking over in a lot of areas. So,
well, I'm learning all kinds of things about my own hometown here. So let me go back if I can. I always start out the show sharing a couple of reasons why I've invited this specific guest, and one was honestly because I've wanted someone from our headquarters here. We're headquartered in. I always introduce ourselves as we're a veteran-owned profit consulting firm headquartered in Henderson, Nevada. That's my intro to every person I meet. And I know you're a veteran. You're a U.S. Army veteran yourself. So
absolutely.
I appreciate that. Thank you for your service. I was in the Army for 9 years myself.
Yeah, for your service. I was in for 6.
So, but I always start out, that's the first reason. I wanted someone to come from Henderson. And so when I was introduced to you by Mark Verville, who's our mutual friend, I thought, here's the guy. Secondly, though, I have wanted to have a politician, not necessarily talk about your platform or one party or the other, as much as I want to talk about about politics in general and how I think there's ways we can do it better. There's ways we can collaborate. I always say this, and it's a very common statement of mine, that we have a lot more in common than we have that's different.
Correct.
Right? We all care about safety in our schools and clean drinking water and low inflation and opportunity and, no potholes in the road, right? There's so many things that we agree on. Mm-hmm. And so I'd like to, a little bit later in the conversation, talk a little bit how we can focus on those and work together to get stuff done, Mm-hmm. So, but before we go there, let's go back. I'd like to hear a little bit of your story. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? And what brought you to where you are today? Who is Dan Shaw and how did he get here?
I grew up on a ranch in southern Idaho, a little tiny town called Malta, Idaho.
My wife is from Thomas, Idaho, just so you know, not far from there.
It's not too far. Ranching community. We grew hay and grain and ran cattle, a lot of potatoes, a lot of sugar beets. Went to a one-room school, grades 1 through 5. And Mrs. Gardner was my teacher for 5 straight years. So
nice.
So a very unique experience. Gave me some real benefit in understanding conservation, understanding hard work, understanding what it takes to put food on the table. So from there, I was recruited and went to a private boarding school, and I skied. I actually went to BYU on a skiing scholarship back when they had a ski team.
Nice.
And so went to BYU.
I'm a cougar myself.
Are you?
So you know. Yeah.
They're doing incredibly well, by the way.
Yes, we are.
They are 6-0 in the football season, so a big deal. So from there, got into finance, worked for a savings and loan for a few years, and in venture capital. I came down to Las Vegas in 1980. Partnered with 2 other people here. We did neighborhood shopping centers anchored by grocery stores. Determined that the grocery stores were dictating to us how we would underwrite, and so we decided we need to own a grocery store chain. So we teamed with the Burkle family out of California and initially bought a company called Food for Less. And then from there, Smith's, Alpha Beta, Kroger, Fred Meyer, and they're still operating and going full tilt today.
Oh, sure. When I was a college student and a young I was newlywed, we lived at Food for Less. They had the best prices in town. It's like the Winco of Utah, right?
And if that was in Provo, Utah, that Food for Less is now gone.
Is it really?
They tore it down and built an office building. I just noticed that the other day. So
that's funny. I remember going there all the time.
Yeah.
Best prices in town.
They were very successful. I sold out of that and started a management and multifamily development and acquisition company. We built that up to about 35,000 units and then got out of that. And now I own a corporate finance and venture capital company that invests in businesses and does development around the United States. And so raised my family here. They all went to local public schools. I've got 13 grandkids and 4 great-grandkids and great family.
Six children, right, Dan?
Correct. I have 6 kids. Let's see what else.
So just to interject, I have 3 boys, 2 girls myself.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 cats, so I guess I could count those as one child because they get spoiled more than any of the kids do. So, you know.
I understand. So.
I grew up with dogs. I always thought cats were a waste of space. You know, they're antisocial and they're arrogant, you know. But my wife is a cat person. She loves cats. So I got her 2 kittens for her birthday. This is 13 years ago. They're getting old now, but they're the best pets. They're easy. You don't have to walk them every day. You know, and we have a male and a female, so there's always some conflict there, but they've actually been great pets, and I've actually been very happy with them. So
the great thing about cats is they just don't care.
They don't, right? They're not needy like dogs are, which I kind of like. And they don't have to have your attention, although they. Yeah. Anyway, I could go down that rabbit hole, but we won't go there. So.
Anyway, when I was in college, I majored in Parks and Recreation, and my hope was that I would manage a ski resort. And then I figured out real quick that you can't make a living doing that, and so that got me into finance. But that piqued my interest when I got involved with the Parks and Recreation in Henderson.
I bet.
And then from Parks and Recreation, I got appointed to the Planning Commission, and I was chairman of the Planning Commission for about 13 years. And then went to the county and chaired their Planning Commission for about 6 years, and then got appointed to the City Council and ran for re-election, was re-elected about 4 years ago. So here's a little bit of background.
That's fantastic.
I still compete in the rodeo circuit because I learned how to ride horses and rope. And so I'm a team roper and still do rodeos around the country.
Is that right? Wow, that sounds fun. So just for all the novices out there, can you, in a nutshell, explain what is a city councilman? What do they do? You're with Ward 3, right? Here in Henderson. Ward 2, excuse me.
Ward 2. The city is divided into 4 wards or locations.
Okay. And
each councilman is elected from that specific ward. The mayor is elected at large, so there are 4 councilmen and 1 mayor. The council acts very similar to a board of directors of a corporation. We ratify policies, we instigate change, we instigate code changes. The city council and mayor hire 3 people. They hire the city manager, the city attorney, and the city clerk. And those 3 are directly responsible and report directly to the city council and the mayor. And they then are in charge of implementing policy and everything that the city council wants to do. So the city of Henderson is a mayor, council, city manager type of government. Has been that way from day one. And
which means
which is that the city manager we currently have about 3,000 employees, and all of them report up through departments to that city manager. And so the city council doesn't have the ability, for example, to go to the guy watering the lawn in the park and tell him, hey, you're doing that wrong, because those people do not report to us. The city manager, city attorney, and city clerk report to us directly, and we pass that down. So very efficient means of government. Obviously, each city is bound by what is called a city charter, and that charter dictates how it operates. And so it gives it financial parameters, audit parameters, a number of things. And that charter is issued by the state to the city. And if we choose to change that charter, we have to go to the legislature to open that charter and make whatever changes to that charter. So it's
checks and balances, right? Checks and balances
all the way.
So I'm glad you mentioned that it's similar to a corporation, because that's really what it is. I mean, you're managing budgets, you're managing employees, you're managing policy and procedure and systems. And
right.
What would you attribute, if I may, to the rapid growth of Henderson? It's one of the fastest growing cities in America.
Right.
People are flooding here, not just from California, but from all over. And I agree with you. It's not the worst thing in the world that people are coming here from California. A lot of people are trying to get out of California. Yeah. But there is a lot of diversity here, too. There's people from all over the country and all over the world, which I love, But what do you attribute that growth to?
I think there's probably 2 or 3 things that really play a role. Obviously, the tax structure of Nevada, and specifically of Henderson, are really key. We currently have a real estate tax that is 77 cents per $100, which compared to California is unheard of. It's really, really inexpensive tax-wise to live here. We don't have any personal income tax, and so that's very attractive to people. It's a great place to retire. The weather is nice. There's a lot of entertainment. It's a transportation hub. You can get any place in the world from the airport. And there's just, a lot of pluses that go along with that. The other thing, even though we're working hard on this, but, affordability of a home as compared to California is night and day. You can come here and sell your home in California for $1.5 million and buy a better home by far for half that price here in Nevada. So there's a number of things that are attractive that I think is why people are coming here.
I'll admit I wasn't familiar with Henderson when we decided to move here to Henderson. We knew we wanted to move the company to Nevada, no state income tax, Right. It's a good hub for us. You talk about the ability to travel. It's a great international airport. Obviously, a lot of flights are even discounted because people are coming and going. But my family's up in Utah. My wife has family in Phoenix. We like San Diego, and this just put us right in the middle.
Right.
And admittedly, we looked in Summerlin because it's growing a lot as well. It's a popular place, but in Summerlin with the red rocks there and just the way it's set up, it feels like the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Henderson feels more like Springville, Utah or somewhere. I mean, there's trees everywhere. You talk about the parks and so forth.
Yes.
The mountains right behind it. You're just a few minutes from Boulder, a few minutes from the airport. It felt like, I'm surprised anyone moves to Summerlin if they come visit Henderson,
That's kind of you. We feel the same way, of course. So yeah, we kind of set the tone that it's a very family-oriented community.
Right.
We're the second safest city in America.
I knew that.
Our fire department is one of only, I think, 3 fire departments in the nation that have all 3 national certifications. So we're real proud of our public safety record. People feel safe. You can go out and walk to the park and you're going to be safe. And that's an important factor, I think.
Yeah, I think so. It's a big draw to families, for sure. Mm-hmm. And people here are nice. I've people always ask me, well, why do you live in Vegas? You don't gamble or drink. Why do you live there? And I say, well, we love the shows. We love the restaurants. We love the people.
Right.
The weather is great. It does get a little hot in the summer, but I'm not out digging ditches. And, I actually forget how hot it is until I go outside to go to the grocery store or something.
What I always tell people is you don't have to shovel it. And
there you go.
It's not snow that you have to shovel. So.
And I've had my fair share. You talk about being a skier growing up. I grew up catching that bus every Saturday to one of 6 different resorts, for my home in Bountiful, Utah. And I eventually moved to Orem, went to Orem High School.
Uh-huh.
You mentioned BYU. I went to BYU after a couple years in the Army and took a break for a mission to Italy. But I loved the ski resorts, how close they were, but I didn't love the snow, and I didn't love shoveling it and living in it and walking in it, and and so forth and so on. I actually lived in Alaska for 6 years, so I know snow, but it's my wife doesn't like it, and so we live where it's warm.
This is an unfair question. You said you went to Orem High School?
I did, yeah.
Tell me how old you are.
Graduated in 1987, so I'm 55.
So you're 65?
55, 55.
My brothers both went to Orem High School, but they're slightly older than you are. So
okay. I was only there my senior year of high school. I joined the Army when I was 17, so I went to boot camp between my junior and senior year.
Okay.
And while I moved, I joked that my family moved and didn't leave a forwarding address, but I'm joking. But while I was back in boot camp in Fort Dix, New Jersey, they relocated to Orem, and I ended up doing my senior year, which I really enjoyed. I wasn't a big fan at Woods Cross High, where I was living before, and had a great experience with the Orem High Tigers. So it was fun.
So good.
So if you alluded to this, and we are up against our break. We take one break during the show, but when we come back, would love to hear a little bit more about why you made the leap to politics and what you think makes a good politician. Right. So think about that. We're gonna take a quick break. If you're listening, appreciate you being with us. We're going to take you a minute to look at our advertisers, let them look at you, and we will be right back here on Finding Certainty.
Follow Voice America at facebook.com/Voice America for juicy updates from your favorite radio shows and podcasts.
Certainty Management can help create more certainty in your life with our deep discount health insurance options, even for 1099s, part-time employees, volunteers, and more. Pay less to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your team. Call 888-684-3122 for a free quote today. That's 888-684-3122. Visit us on the web at CertaintyTeam.com. That's Certainty, TEAM, like Mary.com.
Have you become a member yet? Sign up now to become a member of Voice America. It's always free and easy. Plus, you get to take advantage of some great member benefits. Get unlimited access to millions of hours of on-demand content across all of our channels. Keep track of your favorite episodes, shows, and hosts in your own customizable library. Find out what shows you might be interested in based on your favorites. Plus, you get insider access with our newsletter. Membership gives you more. Sign up at voiceamerica.com and click register at the top right.
If you're a nonprofit in need of funding, we can help. Certainty Management is a cost reduction firm that also helps churches, schools, sports teams, and other nonprofits raise unlimited zero-cost funding. Best of all, you don't have to sell anything or ask for donations. Call 888-684-3122 to learn more today. That's 888-684-3122. Visit us on the web at CertaintyTeam.com. That's Certainty, TEAM, like Mary.com.
Voice America programs are now available on your favorite connected device, including Amazon, Alexa, and Google Home. Through streams with Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio, listening to your favorite show is as easy as saying the show name followed by the word podcast.
Hey, Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast.
If that doesn't work, try adding on TuneIn or on iHeartRadio or on Apple Podcasts.
Voice America Business Network, the bottom line in business.
You're listening to Finding Certainty with Patrick Laing. Now, back to the show with Patrick.
Welcome back to Finding Certainty. If you've joined us for the first time today, we're glad you found us. We find that most folks listen once and then they come back and keep listening over and over. If you're a recurring listener or fan, we appreciate your patronage. You know, people ask me all the time why our show is so popular. We're one of the fastest growing shows on Voice America. It's broadcast all over the world and syndicated on Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, the list goes on, right? I believe it's because this topic of certainty is a hot topic, right? We actually Googled it once, and there were thousands and thousands of hits in media just within 24 hours. Well, we also Googled the word uncertainty, and there were tens of thousands of hits, literally in a 24-hour period, just on media across the nation within just one single day. That says a lot about how people are feeling out there, right? They're worried about the future. They're nervous about inflation and immigration, the border, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of concerns out there that politicians like Mr. Dan Shaw, who's with us today, are trying to address and trying to help alleviate. So I asked this question before the break, Dan, and I love your personal opinion. This isn't necessarily focused on you as much as just politics in general. What do you think people are looking for in a politician, in a leader, community and civil servants? What is it that they want? Maybe it's an obvious question, but I'd love to have your perspective on it.
I would say I'm probably not your typical politician. I serve on the Regional Transportation Commission here, and I had a discussion with our director just a few days ago. And it was very similar to what we're talking about here. What should politicians be doing? And my comment was that most politicians have a genetic defect, and that is that they were born without a backbone. And so
Without a backbone.
Politicians need a backbone. They need to stand up and say, look, this is what's right, this is what's wrong, and we need to move in that direction. One of the challenges that politicians have, Henderson, for example, has term limits. And so you can only serve for a certain amount of time, which I think is really beneficial.
I think so too.
Because
it's really important.
It gives you the opportunity then to make a decision for the right reason, because you're probably not going to continue to run because you're termed out. So I think that's important. I think that right now, just right along your lines, uncertainty in the political arena it causes anxiety. It causes all kinds of problems. People want that certainty. They want to know they're going to be safe. They want to know their kids can go to school and get a good education. They want to know that there's not going to be an economic disaster in their city. And so that certainty is really, really important for politicians to grasp and understand. And that's a challenge. A lot of them don't believe that there is uncertainty, and there is.
100%. If you don't believe that, you're a little clueless, in my opinion.
I agree. So we look to do that. The city of Henderson just won last week what is called the Malcolm Baldrige Award. That award is awarded by the President of the United States. The criteria is incredibly difficult to even apply. We have been working on it for 12 years. We're now one of only 4 other cities in the entire United States that has ever won this award. And this award is given for certainty. You become a data-based operation. So you can say, we're sending out a survey to our people, we're going to find out what they want, and then we're going to develop a plan and move in that direction. So it's really a way of managing and having quality management and providing what the citizens really need.
Well, you hit on a really important point, Dan, because I believe, in addition to having a backbone, right, in addition to having vision and making sure you're staying up with technology and those types of things, you talk about the Malcolm this award, Malcolm Baldrige. In addition to that, I think one of the most important things that politicians can do is to listen to their people. You said we put out a survey. We want to know how our citizens, our constituents feel about this topic because we represent them, right?
That's exactly right. And we need to be following their wishes. So
too many politicians forget that.
and the challenge is that we've got 350,000 people that we answer to.
Yeah.
And there are occasions where 10 of them become very vocal. And so you have to keep in mind that you're representing everyone. And we need to move that city forward on that basis and gather data that says this is what we're doing right, this is what we're doing wrong, and this is what our citizens want, and move in that direction.
Well, that's actually a great segue to my question of before, or this topic of unity and working together, and the fact that we do have, I believe, so much more in common than we have differences. Unfortunately, we're very vocal about that 5% that we differ on, right? Mm-hmm. We hear gun control, immigration, and abortion, and those are on the top of everybody's thoughts and on the talking heads on the media. But is that really the 3 most important things to us, right? They're vocal, they're emotional. I'm not saying they're not important, but are they really the 95% that people seem to be applying to them? I think the problem with politics, and this is just politics according to Patrick, is that we get hyper-focused on that 5% and we let the other 95% suffer in the process. Right? Mm-hmm. I think if we could just cross that aisle more, and I always say this, I, as much as love him or hate him, President Trump, I do think he is a leader that has backbone. He's strong.
Right.
I think he could do more to cross the aisle and create more unity between people. He is a little divisive at times, and I wish that wasn't the case. I think if we had a leader who was strong like him, but also a diplomat like Bill Clinton was, or someone like that, somebody who can work across the aisle and find that unity, we would do amazing things. We could get a lot done here in this political landscape, right? Would you agree?
You're absolutely correct, and that's really key in politics. Benjamin Franklin had a great quote. He said, "All politics are local," and
are local
because the thing that affects you the most is local politics. We listen to the federal policies, and I agree 100% with you. There needs to be cooperation, but just as you said, if there's a pothole out in front of your driveway, you need to get that pothole fixed. And President Trump isn't going to do it.
That's right.
Your local politician is going to do that. If you're not feeling safe in your home, that the federal government can't help you.
That's right.
That is a local issue. So we need to really have our act together on that cooperation level, not be divisive on a local level, and hopefully that bleeds up to the state and then bleeds up to the federal government. So it has to start somewhere, and it needs to start locally. So
I agree 100%. Regardless of who you're voting for, who you're a fan of, my favorite thing to hear from a politician, especially a presidential candidate, is when they say they want to give power back to the states or power back to the local government. They want to have the local government or the states have more control and more say in whatever the case might be, because to your point, that's where we live. That's who we are, right? That's what we really do care about. We care about our kids' safety in school as much as we're concerned about school safety across the country. It's less impactful and less important to us as our own kids' elementary or junior high.
That's exactly right. It's really important. And frankly, as a city, we understand this. Even though we don't have anything to do with the school district, we as a city said we need to affect change. We are getting data back from our people that say they are unhappy with the education system. And what can we do to help with that? So we formed what's called CAB, our Community Education Board. We take 18% of the tax revenue from our redevelopment area and 30% of the tax revenue from marijuana sales, and it goes into a pot, and it goes directly to Henderson schools. It does not go through the school district. And it's made a change. It's made a difference. Chronic absenteeism is the lowest in Henderson than any other municipality. And so
that's great.
So when we talk about these local issues, yes, the federal government provides a huge amount of money. They provide guidance. The state is in the same boat. But our state legislature meets every other year for 90 days. So they can't have the daily effect on your life that your local government has.
I would agree. One of our associates on our team is a man by the name of Irvin Nelson. You may know him. He was in legislature here. He's been an attorney here in Vegas for 40 years, and he's a great mentor and a referral source for us. He sends us clients every now and then, but he talked about that same thing. He said it's difficult in legislature when you meet so seldom, right? So rarely, to truly affect change on the local level. He says we have to work with the cities to do so.
Right.
And to your point, it's exactly what's happening, what needs to happen. Obviously, Henderson's doing a good job of it, but I'd like to talk a little bit about your campaign. You are running for re-election here. Do you have a specific platform or specific focus that you're driving home?
Well, there's still a lot of work to do on the local level. We've made great progress as a city. My motivation to run is that I still think there are issues that need to be resolved. One of the big issues is affordable housing. I formed a committee to study that. They give us their final report here in about another 30 days on how we can help solve affordable housing. The challenge is that if your kids want to come back and live in this neighborhood, it's difficult to buy a house. We have.
It's definitely harder than it was when they were growing up, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And so we need to look at that. We need to figure out how to solve that. Education is a key factor in this. We need to be providing an education where the kids who come out can get jobs and can work and and support their families. It's
100%.
really key to do that. So have those issues that are there. Planning is always an issue. I've served on planning commissions for almost 20 years, looked at best practices, still do. And as we grow, it's always a challenge to accommodate that growth. So those are the big areas. Public safety is always key. We're really big on that. So those are my key areas that I think are important, and one of the reasons that I'm running to ensure that happens.
Well, from a business standpoint, Henderson is a great example of an economic, it's just an economic success story, right? Mm-hmm. You attracted the raiders here and their practice or their facilities. You attracted some very large companies. It continues to have this record growth and and continues to win awards like the one you just mentioned recently.
Right.
You're a pretty good model for a business to say, what's Henderson doing? Because maybe I should do some of that, right? Is there anything that jumps out, do you think, that might be a benefit to our business listeners out there?
One of the things that I instigated when I went on the city council was I said, let's evaluate what we're good at, and let's evaluate what we're bad at, and then let's fix them. So one of the things that we determined that we were not good at was running day-to-day businesses. And so we said, let's form public-private partnerships where those businesses have the expertise, and we will partner with them to provide the services that our people need. So, for example, the Golden Knights, they're great. They understand how to run an ice rink. They understand how to run venues. So we have partnered with them now twice. We have 2 sheets of ice downtown, and we have the Lee Family Forum. And where the Lee Family Forum was at, used to be a public venue that the city ran that had a canvas roof on it. It blew off 4 or 5 times. We couldn't get insurance, and it was losing $2 million a year. We partner with the Golden Knights. We build a new facility that is enclosed, that provides all kinds of activity, and it makes $2 million a year for the city. So a $4 million swing.
Right.
So we look at what's
a pretty good partnership there, Dan.
A great partnership. And frankly, we encourage small business. We say, let us help you with what we're good at, and then you partner with people to help you. And that's one of the reasons we've been able to attract we just did the groundbreaking on Haas Manufacturing. They're going to have 1,400 jobs that are great paying jobs. They build robots that build machines. They're moving from California, their whole operation here.
That's great.
Those are great businesses. And we're happy to partner with them because they know what they're doing. So
absolutely. As we have built our company, we built most of it through the pandemic. We started in 2019, mm-hmm. and it was a hard grind.
Right.
And you're constantly reassessing and reevaluating, and kind of like a GPS, recalculating and making adjustments. You have to, whether you're a city, a business, or even just a family, a couple, right? You have to be constantly assessing and improving.
Right.
As you look back over your career, what's a lesson that you've learned? We are approaching the end of the show here, but I'd love to hear a lesson that you feel like you've learned in your life or your career that you could share with our listening audience, people maybe who are considering voting for you. What would that lesson be?
I have an advantage and a disadvantage over you. One is I'm a lot older. That's an advantage and a disadvantage. I think that as you get a little bit older, you gain wisdom. And that wisdom and that common sense goes a long way in the political arena. So in my early days, I worked construction a little bit, and a great friend and mentor said, carry a measuring tape with you, measure twice and only cut once. And so
it's a good rule of thumb.
I think we have to be data-driven on the decisions we make. We have to take our time. We have to evaluate it very carefully, and we need to make wise, common sense decisions. And I think that's one thing that I really learned is, on occasion, political operations make quick decisions, and it takes them years to fix them. And it's really important to not do that.
I think it's a principle of certainty is to do exactly that. Measure twice and cut once. Do your analysis, do your due diligence, vet something before you jump into it. It's the same as anything. They say there's a space between stimulus and response, and the longer that space, usually the better the response, right?
Right, that's exactly right. So
I've learned that throughout my career, most definitely. In fact, it's interesting. You talk about how Henderson started in 1953. You're coming up on 72 years here in 2025. Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting number. Rule of 72 from a financial principle is a principle for how to double your income, right? Or double your investment. Mm-hmm. It's ironic because just about a week ago, I went through and I made a list of every project I could remember being involved with, whether it was a job, a business, an investment, could be a joint venture, collaboration. And I've had 71 since I was a kid selling, Christmas wreaths as a Boy Scout, right? And you're a Silver Beaver recipient. That's the highest award in the Boy Scouts of America. So congratulations! But
thank you.
So I'm coming up on my 72nd in Henderson's 72nd year. I'm coming up on my 72nd project. Don't know what it is yet, but
for you,
it's an interesting parallel there. But
that's great.
So we're up against the end of the show. We always record a little bit more on the YouTube version of this. If you watch our YouTube channel, you might get a little bit more. But any last things you'd like to say, especially to your constituents, people who are going to be voting for you in the next 3 weeks? Any message you'd like to share with them?
First of all, Patrick, thank you for the opportunity. It means a lot to me. You've been a gentleman, and really, I think what you're doing is important for our community. To be out
You're
there.
Most grateful. You're most welcome.
And that consistency theme is really key. And frankly, that's probably what I would tell my constituents. I'm consistent. You know what I've done. You can look at my record. I want to continue to do that and continue to help our citizens and lead this city and our constituents down a good path that is beneficial and consistent for them.
How do people learn more about you? I'm sure they can go to your website and read about your stand on things, your policies, etc. What's that a web address, Dan?
It's called votedanshaw.com.
All right. Nice and simple. Easy to remember. VoteDanShaw, SHAW.com.
Right.
Mm-hmm. If you're with us today, thank you for joining us on Finding Certainty. As I said, we always record a little bit more for the YouTube version, so we'll stay on a few more minutes, but right. I still have a couple more questions for you. But anyone out there in the Voice America world who's listening to us today, we do appreciate your patronage. Have a fantastic weekend. Don't forget, certainty is out there. You can find it, and we can help. We wish you the very best, and don't forget to vote. It's coming up November 5th. Whoever you're voting for, be nice about it, and we wish you the very best.
Thanks for tuning into today's episode of Finding Certainty. We hope you've gained some more insight into how to create more certainty in your own business or nonprofit. Join us next week for another taste of the Certainty Experience. Until then, we wish you greater certainty in all that you do.